Hello students, today we are going to learn poverty chapter, that is chapter 4, part 1. In this chapter, we'll try to give you the basic understanding of poverty, to identify the typology of poverty and various categories of poverty. We would also be discussing about the poverty line and ratio of poverty in India. So let me give you an introduction. See, we all know that it is very much necessary that in order to survive, we need to have minimum basic necessities of our life. Or we can say we need basic amenities like food, shelter, and clothing. And providing these basic needs to the people and reduction of poverty have been the major aim of independent India. Our 5-year plan have also emphasized on the upliftment of the poorest of poor and integrating the poor into the mainstream and achieving a minimum standard of living for all, which is known as Antyodaya. So Antyodaya means providing minimum standard of living for all. Now, as I said, that Antyodaya means uplifting the weakest section of society. Sarvodaya is a more broader term which was very much liked by Mahatma Gandhi ji. And he developed this idea that it is very necessary to have Antyodaya, but Sarvodaya is much more broader concept because it means development of all and not just the weaker section. So he was of the opinion that Sarvodaya, that is development of all through Antyodaya. So this thing inspired him from John Ruskin's book Unto His Last. Now, poverty has always been a challenge for India because we are falling into the category where, of the world's majority of the poor live in India also. So we have about 300 million people who are not able to meet their basic needs. Now, as poverty has many dimensions, it can be looked through variety of indicators. We can look at poverty through the level of income, through the level of consumption. We have social indicators, etc. Now, first, let's understand who are poor. The poor people possess few assets and they reside in the kacha hutments. Many of them do not possess land. Many of them do not even get to have even a 2 days, 2 meals per day. So starvation and hunger are the key feature of the poor household. Of course, they do lack many of the basic things like literacy, skills, education, health facility. They are not even able to have the stable employment. So malnutrition is very high among the poor. And rural poor work mainly as a landless agricultural laborers or cultivators with a very small land holdings. Now, disability, ill health, serious illness make them physically weak. And they also borrow money from the lenders who charge a very high rate of interest that led them into chronic indebtedness. Most of these poor households, they do not have access even to the safe drinking water or electricity. And of course, there is too much of gender inequality, especially when it comes to education or gainful employment, because all the decisions are mostly male oriented. Now, poor women receive very much less care on their way to motherhood. That is, they don't get sufficient amount of nutrition. And of course, children who are to be born, they are not healthy. That is why you could have seen many public awareness ads which are, published by the government. One of the ad, I can give you the example wherein Amir Khan is featured in that ad, and he's talking about kuposhik. That is all the children who are malnutrition, who are not getting much nutrition. So it's an awareness that how we can help those children to come out of the poverty and hunger. Now, economists have identified the poor on the basis of their occupation and ownership of asset. But we can have two types of poor: one who are living in rural areas and the other one who are in the urban. So the rural poor work mainly as a landless agricultural laborers, cultivators with a very small land holdings. Because if you see majority, like if you talk about the pre-independent India, we had zamindari system, and due to which many of the poor people, they were landless and they used to work on those land holdings, and majority of the profit ratio was taken away by the money lenders or land owners who were charging very high rate of interest. Now the urban poor are largely the overflow of rural people, which means the population in the rural areas or the unemployment, or in order to have a better quality of life, many rural people migrate to urban, and this increases again the ratio in the urban area. So urban poor are largely the overflow of rural poor who have migrated themselves either in search of employment or in the search of their livelihood or for better opportunities or better standard of living. Now, these landless laborers who are engaged in variety of non-agricultural jobs and tenant cultivators. And in urban poor, we have the laborers who do variety of casual jobs, self-employed. You would have seen that variety of people selling things on the roadsides who are engaged into different activities. So how these poor are identified? Now, to solve the problem of poverty, we have to find a viable and sustainable strategy so that we can address the causes of poverty. Now, how the government needs to identify who the poor are? Now, for this, there is a need to develop a scale to measure this poverty. And that is why in pre-independent India, Dadabhai Naroji was the first to discuss the concept of poverty line. And he used the menu of the prisoners and used appropriate prevailing prices to arrive at what we can call it as a jail cost of living. Now, you need to understand as to what is jail cost living. Dadabhai Naroji, he had assumed that one third of the population consisted of the children and half of them consumed very little. See, when actually, earlier when he had assumed about the jail cost living, he took the assumptions of people who are living in the jail. But whereas in actual society, there are children too. There are not only adults, because most of the prisoners are adults. So what about the children who are living in the society? So he therefore adjusted this cost of living to arrive at poverty line. And for this, he assumed that one third of the population consisted of children and half of them consumed very little, while the other half consumed half of adult diet. So this is how he arrived at the factor of 3/4. And if we talk about post-independent India, there have been attempts to work out a mechanism to identify the number of poor in the country. Now, we had a planning commission in 1962 and they formed a study group. And in 1979, we also had another group or another body which was called as Task Force on Projection of Minimum Needs and Effective Consumption Demand, which was, of course, to meet the basic amenities of life, that is food, shelter, and clothing. In 1989 and 2005, we had expert groups. They were also constituted. Now let's understand. See, after knowing who the poor are, now it will become easy for us to understand what is poverty. Poverty, we can define it as a state in which an individual or household is not able to fulfill the minimum consumption needs. And it is not always about money. Please understand that when we say basic consumption needs, it's not always related to money, because there are many other basic facilities like hygiene, sanitation, food, drinking water, health, education, transport, so whose absence as a whole is regarded as poverty. Now, poverty can be either absolute poverty or a relative poverty. Now, let's understand the difference between the two as to what is, and what is absolute poverty and what is relative. Absolute poverty is when there is absence of minimum needs. That is minimum basic needs which are required. When it's not existing, we call it as a absolute poverty. Now, what is relative? So when poverty is measured in relative terms, like let's say for example, such as income or consumption of other people, which means I'm comparing my income, my consumption level, when I'm comparing it with either another individual, or I'm comparing my country's poverty with the other country's poverty ratio in terms of income or per capita income or consumption, then it is called as a relative poverty. So the difference between two is absolute poverty refers to total number of poor people living below poverty line, whereas relative poverty means people, it refers to poverty of people relative to other people, as I just said, that you compare it, either compare it with other individuals or regions or nations or other countries. So in absolute poverty, the concept has relevance for less developed countries and the concept has no relevance for developed countries. Now, when we talk about relative poverty, when we say India is relatively poor, it means it is in comparison with the other countries. The comparison is of that if, let's say, for example, of our per capita income with the different countries. In India, absolute poverty is calculated with the help of poverty line as to how many people are living below poverty line or how many are living above poverty line. This is how we get the ratio of poor and rich. Now, when we talk about relative poverty within India, relative poverty is calculated with the help of Lorentz curve and Gini coefficient. You will be studying these in the higher grades because you don't have it in syllabus right now. Now, when we talk about absolute poverty in India, approximately 29.8, so you can say that almost 30% of the population is absolutely poor, who's deprived of basic amenities of life. And when we talk about relative poverty, India is relatively one of the poorest country of the world, as its per capita income is less than $1 per day. Now, how do you categorize poverty? We can categorize the poverty into always poor, usually poor, churning poor, occasionally poor, and non-poor. You can see this chart of the chronic poor, transient poor, and non-poor. Now let's understand who are always poor and who are chronic or churning poor. Way people, like let's say people who are always poor or usually poor, but who may sometimes have little more money, like for example casual workers, they are called as a chronic poor. So always poor and usually poor together are called as chronic poor. Example is casual workers. Now let's understand what is churning poor. Now there is another group called churning poor who regularly move in and out of this poverty. Like let's say for example, small farmers, seasonal workers, and occasionally poor are the one who are rich most of the time, but sometimes they have a patch of bad luck. Like let's say for example, they are rich, but due to some reasons or some due to bad luck or due to business loss, suddenly they have lost everything. So those are occasionally poor. And churning poor are the one who regularly move and out of poverty line, like farmers and seasonal workers, because most of the time, sometimes their income is seasonal. If they have very good cultivation, they earn more. There are seasons where they don't get to earn anything. So those are churning poor. That is why you can see that in churning poor, the poverty line, the dotted line, if you see, in always poor and usually poor, most of the time it's, below, the curves are below the poverty line. But in case of churning poor, it moves in and out. Whereas in occasionally poor, these people are always above the poverty line, but due to bad luck or something, they may move into poverty line. So that is why we called as a transient poor. Now, last set of people are the one who are never poor or non-poor. That is why you can see the curve or the graph is above the poverty line. because they are never poor. This is a slide where we have tried to show that what is the state of poverty in India. The states with orange zones, you can see these are the percent of people poverty. We have more than 40 plus percentage. So we can say that UP, that is Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, these are the states with more poverty ratio. Now let's understand what is poverty line. Poverty line is a common method which is used to measure the poverty either based on income or on the basis of consumption level. Which means, let's say for example, if I want to measure that who's rich from me, comparing myself with XYZ person. If my income is 20,000 per say month and the income of the other person is, let's say, 5,000 per month, so relatively I can compare on the basis of income as to who's earning more, whose consumption level is more. So this way we can use this method to measure the poverty. A person is considered poor if his or her consumption level is below a given level set by a country. So while determining the poverty line in India, a minimum level of food requirements, clothing, education, medical requirements, etc., has to be taken into consideration. Now, how do measure this poverty? There are many ways of measuring poverty, and one of the way is to determine it by the monetary value of minimum calorie intake. That is, uh, they have set a standard that people who are living in rural areas, they should be able to consume at least 2400 calories, and in urban areas it is 2100 for a person in the urban area. So if person is not able to meet up this much amount of calories, then that person is considered to be poor. Now we can say that why more number of calories are given for rural person, because they are the one who are involved into more of a physical labor. So obviously they require more amount of calories, and that is why we have 2400 calories for the rural people, and we have set standard for urban area is 2100. So any person who is living in urban or rural area who are not able to meet up this requirement, which means that they are in the poverty line. Now, in 2009 and 10, poverty line was defined for rural area as a consumption worth rupees 673 per person and per month, and 860 for urban area. Now, when you talk about the consumption worth, it is more in the urban because the standard of living or the cost of living is more in urban. And that is why in rural we have only 673 per person a month. Now, government also uses monthly per capita expenditure as a proxy for income of the household to identify the poor, which means from the expenditure also we can make out as to how much uh, percent of people are falling into the poverty line. Now, economists states that major problem with this mechanism is that it groups all the poor together and it does not differentiate between the very poor and the other poor, which is very true. Like, let's say, for example, if I have defined a certain percentage of people, that all the people who are not able to consume 2400 calorie in rural areas, below that everybody would fall into the category of poor people. Now, there might be so much different varieties of poor. Now, below 2400 calories, there might be a person who's consuming only 2000 calories. There might be a person who's consuming hardly 500 calories per day. So, it's very difficult to differentiate between the very poor and the other poor. So, this mechanism is helpful in identifying the poor as a group to be taken care by the government. But it would be difficult to identify who among the poor need the help the most. So there are many factors which are associated with poverty other than income and asset, because it's not about just income or possessing the assets. There are other factors like basic education, health, drinking water, sanitization. All these are again the necessity. Now, aim of poverty alleviation scheme should be to improve human lives, because when we aim to have, reduction in poverty or elevating or eradicating poverty, then all these schemes should be implemented to improve the human life. Now, development is about removing all these obstacles to things that person can do in life, such as illiteracy, ill health, lack of access to all the resources, etc. Government claims that there has been decrease in poverty level due to higher growth rate, increase in agricultural production, providing employment in rural areas, and due to economic reforms. But as government claims that there has been reduction in poverty due to all these reasons, but there are many economists who have raised a doubt about the government claim, as there have been manipulation to arrive at reduced figure of poverty, because it so happens that we are not able to get the exact figure of the poverty line. So, due to these limitations in the official estimation of poverty, there are many scholars who have tried or attempted to find out the alternative method. And Amartya Sen has developed an index which is called as a Sen index to measure the poverty ratio. Now, we can see that 1 in 5 Indians is poor. So you can imagine the ratio of poverty in India, that we have. We are one of the country who's facing major poverty issues. We can see on the right hand side, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh. These are the number of poor states with low income in our country. Now let's talk about the number of poor in India. When number of poor is estimated as proportion of people below the poverty line, which means that when we estimate the proportion as to how many people are falling below the poverty line, that is called as a head count ratio. Like, let's say for example that out of, I'm just giving you an example, that in the population of, let's say, 125 crore, if 25 crores are falling below the poverty line, that is a head count ratio. So the proportion of people below the poverty line is known as head count ratio. The official data on poverty is made available to public by the Planning Commission. Now, please understand, all these data are published by Planning Commission, but all these data collection is done by NSS, that is National Sample Survey Organization. And we can see that more than 3/4 of the poor in India resides in village, and more than 320 million people were below the poverty line in the year 73-74. Of course, with the years, the number of poverty ratio has come down, which is about 270 million right now. Now, in this slide, you can see the one bars in black, that is of 73 and 74, and the bar with white are 99 and 2000. So you can compare the years that the ratio of poverty has been decreasing. Now, of course, when we want reduction in poverty line, there are many things which we have to take care of apart from income. That is educating the people, providing a better health facility, proper sanitization, safe drinking water, and basically all the basic needs. So to summarize, we can say that poor lack basic literacy and skills, basic human needs, lack of employment, starvation and hunger are the key features. So people who are usually poor, they have little more money than being always poor, who are chronic poor. And due to this lack of knowledge and skills, there are scheduled caste and tribes who are not able to avail employment opportunities. And just now, as I said, that proportion of people below the poverty line is known as a head count ratio. So this is it for part 1. In part 2, we would be studying further with regard to what are the causes of poverty line, why farmers commit suicide, and the various policies and programs for poverty elevation. So we would be discussing all these in the part 2. Thank you very much.